yellow hammer, come see how we rock this. Alabama fans the best, there's no way you can top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this. The process.
Welcome into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I'm your host, Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. For those of you who may not know, the first-time viewers out there, you guys check out The Process every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Touchdown Alabama's YouTube page. So go ahead and subscribe to Touchdown Alabama on YouTube to stay updated on everything Alabama football recruiting with The Process. And yours truly, we have another great show on tap today for you guys, as I will start this week of shows off with another great show, as I will be joined by 2021 four-star defensive end Shambre Jackson, one of Alabama's top defensive targets in the 2021 recruiting class, who will join me and talk about some of the things he is hearing from Alabama, some of the things he likes about Alabama's coaching staff, and some of the things he likes about Alabama overall. So we'll be joined by Jackson later on in the program, but before I get a chance to talk with Jackson, I do have a couple of recruiting updates to provide you guys with. A lot of things are going on in terms of Alabama football recruiting, so that's what I'm going to dive into next. So with that being said, let's get the process started. I have a couple of recruiting updates to provide you guys with today, as Alabama's coaching staff continue to try to build Alabama's 2021 recruiting class, especially the base of it with 5 verbal commitments at the moment. 2 of the Tide's targets in the 2021 recruiting class is expected to announce this week. Of course, 4-star linebacker Ian Jackson out of Prattville High School in Prattville, Alabama, will announce his verbal commitment on Thursday, so be sure to stay updated on all of that on Touchdown Alabama.com. Alabama is included in his final 6. He did tell me on The Process a couple of episodes back that Alabama's coaching staff has remained in contact with them, multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff, in terms of them recruiting Ian Jackson with a collective team effort. Members of Alabama's coaching staff on both sides of the football as well. So Alabama has recruited him very well. He's expected to announce his commitment on Thursday. We will see what happens when it comes to Ian Jackson. Alabama's 4-star offensive lineman target in the 2021 recruiting class in Jaden Roberts out of North Shore High School in Houston, Texas, is also expected to announce his commitment this week on Wednesday. Auburn looks to be the favorite just due to the fact that the quarterback of North Shore High School, Demetrius Davis, actually verbally committed to Auburn recently. So a lot of people feel that Auburn has picked up steam with this offensive lineman and his teammate Jaden Roberts. But when you look at Alabama's continuous push for offensive linemen in the 2021 recruiting class, it may come down to them possibly pushing for Roberts more in the future, possibly trying to flip him if he does commit to another school, especially with them pulling in an offensive lineman in the 2020 recruiting class from North Shore High School in Damian George, and also flipping a commitment from Auburn in the 2020 recruiting class, pulling in Javion Cohen, another offensive lineman, flipping him from the Auburn Tigers late in the 2020 recruiting cycle. So Alabama's coaching staff could continue to push for Roberts if they do not get his verbal commitment. So those are a couple of decisions for Alabama fans to pay attention to. Of course, we'll keep you updated on all of that on touchdownalabama.com. I also recently caught up with the father of Alabama's 2021 4-star linebacker target, Dallas Turner, out of Florida. His dad told me that their family is really impressed with the way that Alabama's coaching staff and the whole University of Alabama's academic system really puts their student athletes in a position to be successful off the field and after football is over with, really after sports is over with. So they're really impressed with that. So Alabama still looks to be in a great position with 4-star linebacker Dallas Turner and his family. You guys check out that article on touchdownalabama.com. I will include the link in the description of this video, so be sure to check out the article when you get the opportunity. Alabama was also included in a plethora of Final Four schools in the 2021 recruiting class. Some of Alabama's top targets cutting down their top schools list, releasing a Final Four One of those guys was 2021 four-star offensive lineman James Brockermeyer. One of the Brockermeyer twins included Alabama in his Final Four recently. Of course, he is still considering Alabama along with the school that many people feel that him and his brother will choose Texas. So Alabama still looks to be in the mix. Alabama's head coach Nick Saban has stayed in contact with both of those guys. Alabama's offensive line coach Kyle Flood has contacted those guys via Zoom call at least once a week. So Alabama's coaching staff is still pushing for both of the Brockermeyer twins. Alabama was also included in a Final Four released by four-star wide receiver Brian Thomas out of Louisiana. Alabama hosted him for the Junior Day event in February. This is a long, lengthy wide receiver at 6'4". Of course, Alabama already has two verbal commitments from 2021 wide receivers who stand taller than 6'3". So Alabama's coaching staff is going after a lot of taller wide receivers in the 2021 recruiting class, with Brian Thomas being one of their top targets. Alabama was also included in a Final Four released by 2021 four-star wide receiver Troy Franklin out of California. He released his top four on this evening. His Final Four, really, he said he would choose from these four schools when we look at Alabama, Oregon, Arizona State, and also Washington. Alabama's only SEC school included in its Final Four, as well as being the only school not located on the West Coast. So Troy Franklin is still considering Alabama. So a lot of things is going on in terms of Alabama's 2021 recruiting class, in terms of everything Alabama football recruiting. I wanted to hit you guys with those recruiting updates. But now we're going to go to our conversation with Shambre Jackson, the four-star defensive end out of Orlando, Florida. We now have Shambre Jackson on the process with us. Of course, Shambre Jackson is a product of Boone High School in Orlando, Florida. Alabama was able to host him during the month of March for their Junior Day event. He is one of the recruits Alabama was able to host before the current recruiting restrictions were put in place. So Shambre Jackson is one of Alabama's top defensive targets in the 2021 recruiting class. Multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff has been in contact with them, as he told me that very recently, and we're so grateful to have Jackson on the process with us today. So Alabama's coaching staff is continuing to recruit you very hard, Shambre. I know a lot of other schools are recruiting you very hard as well, but what are some of the things you are hearing from Alabama?
They're talking about, like, they have a spot for me already. If I go there, how I'll fit in with the scheme, like how, like, they can improve my game so much, they can develop me into an NFL player real fast and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got you on that. And from with you looking at them and looking at some other schools, what are some of the things that really stand out to you? What Alabama has to offer? What are some of the things that you really like about the school and the program?
The NFL talent, like how they develop the players and stuff like that, and like their D line's really good and stuff. That can really help me go to the NFL early.
Yeah, and I saw you you FaceTime with Nick Saban a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? I know that's kind of a different experience.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're talking about this football stuff and like education there and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I know it's also a unique experience in FaceTime and Nick Saban. I know some recruits say like you don't really have his number. Could you explain that? You have to like call a different number or something like that?
Yeah, sure. To call it someone different.
Yeah, I heard that a couple of times as well. But with you evaluating so many different options and keeping your recruitment open and everything, do you plan to cut a list down soon, or do you just want to wait till everything blow over and possibly take some more visits before you are ready to make a decision?
I take some more visits when this thing's over with. I'll make a decision.
Okay, I definitely feel you on that. And the last question I wanted to hit you on, this is going to be the last question. What are some of the parts of your game that you're working on, trying to make sure you're going to reach your full potential during your senior season? I know that everything is kind of limited, but things are starting to try to pick up in a couple of weeks. But what are some of the things you have been working on to make sure that you're going to be at your best on next season?
My hips and my get off and use some of my hands, stuff like that.
That will wrap up this episode of The Process. As always, stay updated on everything Alabama football recruiting with The Process and yours truly by subscribing to Touchdown Alabama on YouTube. Then head over to touchdowналabama.com. Pick up your subscription to Touchdown Alabama to stay updated on everything Alabama football. Get your hands on our yearly print magazine issue, as well as get your hands on the opportunity to read all of our subscriber only articles. So be sure to subscribe to touchdowналabama.com. Before you go, download the Touchdown Alabama app. It is located in the Google Play Store as well as the Apple App Store. Be sure to get that app to stay updated on everything Alabama football related. I am Justin Smith, the scouting recruiting analyst, Touchdown Alabama magazine.
Process.